Welcome back to the deep dive. You ready to dive into some crypto stuff?
Always ready to talk crypto. Let's do it.
Awesome. Looks like our listener sent us a ton of interesting stuff this time around.
Yeah, charts, predictions, even some political stuff. They're really trying to get a handle on where this market is headed.
Definitely. So let's get right into it. What jumped out at you from all of this?
Honestly, the sheer momentum building right now is insane.
Yeah.
It feels like everything's converging. We've got the U.S. elections coming up, the explosion of AI, and this whole real-world asset narrative gaining traction. It's wild.
It's not just about Bitcoin anymore, huh?
Definitely not. The whole crypto ecosystem feels like it's on the verge of a major shift. It's exciting.
Totally agree. Okay, well, speaking of Bitcoin,
Yeah.
that weekly close we saw was pretty significant, right?
Huge, breaking a 7-month downtrend and marking the fourth highest weekly close ever. That's a major signal.
Wow, fourth highest ever. I hadn't realized it was that big of a deal. So what do you think? New all-time high on the horizon.
Even with these pullbacks, it's definitely possible. That underlying momentum is really strong right now,
Yeah, and there are so many factors contributing to it. The stock market is at all-time highs, gold is performing well.
which often benefits Bitcoin.
Exactly, because of that whole digital gold narrative. And then we can't forget about that historical Q4 momentum that crypto tends to see.
It's like everything's aligning perfectly.
Totally. Okay, so beyond those macro trends, what about developments within the crypto space itself? What's driving this momentum?
Well, those massive inflows into Bitcoin ETFs are definitely a big factor. $2.2 billion poured in last week alone.
Wait, $2.2 billion in 1 week. That's insane.
It is. That's like 10% of all the inflows since Bitcoin ETFs launched back in January. It's a clear sign that institutional interest is exploding. Big players are getting into the game, and they're bringing some serious capital with them.
It's amazing how quickly things are changing, right?
It is. And then you've got things like China cutting interest rates to try and stimulate their economy.
Hmm.
Those moves always have ripple effects across global markets, including crypto.
For sure. Speaking of global trends, the stablecoin surge is pretty interesting too. That total market cap is getting close to its all-time high.
Right. That tells me there's a ton of new money flowing into the crypto ecosystem. Remember that Andreessen Horowitz report?
The one that called stablecoins the first real use case for crypto?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
They're becoming systemically important to the U.S. economy, and that report really drove that point home.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just about trading crypto anymore, right? It's payments, remittances, even hedging against inflation in some countries. Stablecoins are getting integrated into the global financial system, and it's happening fast.
And we're seeing that play out in real time. I mean, look at Stripe's $1.1 billion acquisition of that platform, enabling stablecoin payments. A real-world payments giant like Stripe making a move like that. That's a clear sign of the times.
It definitely feels like the lines between traditional finance and crypto are blurring, and it's happening faster than anyone could have predicted. Which, of course, brings us to the elephant in the room, the U.S. elections.
Always an interesting time for the markets. And historically, we've seen Bitcoin surge in price during every pre-election period.
So what's the prediction this time around?
Some analysts are saying, based on past trends, Bitcoin could hit a new all-time high before the election, followed by a massive pump in November and December. Pretty wild, right?
It would be amazing to see, but you have to wonder how much of that potential surge is tied to specific candidates. I mean, let's be real. There's a perception that some candidates might be more favorable to crypto than others.
Right, and I think it's crucial for us to stay neutral here. We're not endorsing any candidate or political stance. Our focus is on the potential impact of different outcomes on the crypto market, that's all.
Absolutely. We're here to stay objective and analyze the facts, not get caught up in the hype. Speaking of hype, though, did you see that tweet by Chris Berniski about the power of virality and exponentials in crypto?
Yeah, I saw that. Really got me thinking.
Me too. He was talking about how those forces are converging, especially with the rise of AI, and it kind of blew my mind. AI agents trade in crypto. It sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie.
It does. And these AI agents are getting seriously sophisticated. They're not just shilling meme coins anymore. They're doing research, analyzing market trends, even promoting tokens with strong fundamentals.
So it's like having an army of super smart analysts working 24/7 to find the next big thing in crypto. That's kind of intimidating.
It's a game changer, that's for sure. So the question becomes, where's the smart money going in this new landscape?
Right. And it might not be inter AI related tokens themselves, right?
Exactly. What about the infrastructure powering those AI agents? That could be a less volatile, more stable way to play the AI trend?
That's a really interesting angle. Okay, so This is all making sense, but there's one thing I wanted to ask about. Solana. I've noticed it's been outperforming Ethereum in terms of price movements lately. What's going on there?
Solana's been on fire, it's true. Some analysts are even suggesting it could become the proxy for altcoins in this cycle.
Hold on. Proxy for altcoins. Can you explain that for those of us who might not be as familiar with the term altcoin?
Sure. An altcoin is just any cryptocurrency that isn't Bitcoin. And Solana's been getting a lot of attention because of its technology and growing ecosystem.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. So how is it outperforming Ethereum exactly?
Well, there's data showing that Solana is actually dominating in trading volume and fees, even compared to the entire Ethereum ecosystem.
Wow, seriously, that's impressive. Okay, so for our listeners who might be thinking about dipping their toes into the altcoin world, what advice would you give them? I mean, these investments can be super lucrative, but also super risky.
Yeah, the key is to remember that altcoins are inherently more volatile than Bitcoin. You can make incredible gains, but you can also lose big.
So the classic don't invest more than you can afford to lose advice definitely applies here.
Absolutely. It's crucial to do your research, understand the risks, and only invest what you can comfortably lose, no matter how exciting things might seem.
Sound advice. All right, so we've talked about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, stablecoins. What else should we make sure to cover before we wrap up this part of the deep dive?
Hmm. There are a couple of other notable trends. Real-world assets are becoming increasingly important in crypto. Have you been following that at all?
Yeah, it seems like a big deal. RWAs, right?
Exactly. Real-world assets like real estate, stocks, or bonds that are being tokenized and brought onto the blockchain.
It sounds like it could completely revolutionize how we invest.
No kidding. It's breaking down barriers between traditional finance and the crypto world, and it's super exciting.
For sure. And there are already some cool projects leading the charge in that space, right?
Definitely. Mantra, for example, is getting ready to launch their mainnet soon. They're focusing on tokenizing real-world assets and making them accessible to a wider audience. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Definitely. And then there's that whole concept of hybrid blockchains, which seems a bit more on the technical side, but still pretty important.
Oh, yeah. Hybrid blockchains like Diem offer a really unique solution, allowing for both permissioned and permissionless operation.
Hold on, permissioned and permissionless. Can you break that down for us?
Sure. Permissioned means that access to the blockchain is restricted, usually to specific organizations or individuals. Permissionless means that anyone can participate. So these hybrid blockchains combine the best of both worlds, catering to both businesses and individuals.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. It's
Yeah,
like a bridge between the traditional world and the decentralized world of crypto, right?
exactly. And it could be a big driver of further RWA adoption. It's a really innovative space to watch.
Wow, we've only just scratched the surface here, and I already feel like we've covered so much ground. It's incredible how much is happening in the crypto world right now.
It really is a dynamic and ever-evolving space. And I think the key takeaway for our listener is that this is just the beginning. The future of crypto is bursting with possibilities, and it's such an exciting time to be a part of it.
Absolutely. It's like we're on the frontier of a whole new financial revolution, and it's happening right before our eyes.
I couldn't agree more. The more you learn about crypto, the more you realize the potential it has to change the world.
Well, I'm definitely feeling inspired to dive even deeper into this rabbit hole.
I hear you. It's an exciting journey, for sure.
Totally. But before we get too carried away, how about we take a short break? And when we come back, we can continue our deep dive and explore some specific trading strategies and tips for navigating this unpredictable market.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
I'm ready for round two. All right, so are we ready to talk strategy? How to actually navigate this wild crypto market?
You bet. But honestly, I'm still kind of reeling from that whole AI agent thing. It's like, are we even in control anymore?
It definitely highlights how fast things are changing,
Yeah,
and that's exactly why having a solid strategy is so important.
I hear that. FOMO can be dangerous, especially in a market as crazy as crypto. So where do we even begin? How do we approach this strategically?
Well, like we talked about earlier, diversification is key. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Right, makes sense. Spread the risk around. But how do we actually build that diversified portfolio? Where do we start?
Bitcoin's always a good foundation. It's the OG, the digital gold. Can bring some stability to your portfolio, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, that's true. But sometimes Bitcoin feels a little slow, especially compared to all these altcoins going wild. It's hard to resist that temptation.
I get it. The allure of quick gains is strong. But remember, volatility goes both ways. What pumps fast can crash even faster.
Ouch. Yeah. Point taken. So we've got our Bitcoin base. What's next?
Well, we've already touched on Ethereum and Solana, both strong ecosystems with a lot of potential. And remember those Ethereum beta plays we discussed?
Like Lido, ENS, and Rocket Pool.
Exactly. Those are tokens that tend to outperform when Ethereum goes up. It's like they amplify ETH's movements.
I see. So if you're bullish on ETH, those are some interesting options to consider. But why are these particular tokens considered Ethereum beta plays? What makes them special?
They're all deeply embedded in the Ethereum ecosystem. Think of it like this. ETH is the foundation, and these tokens are the buildings constructed on top of it. Lido, for example, is a liquid staking solution for ETH, while ENS provides decentralized domain names using the Ethereum blockchain. And then you have Rocket Pool, which is a decentralized ETH staking protocol. As Ethereum thrives, these tokens are likely to benefit directly.
Ah, okay. So it's like investing in the picks and shovels during a gold rush rather than trying to find gold yourself.
Exactly. You're betting on the underlying infrastructure that supports the entire ecosystem. Now, on the Solana side, Drift and Radium are two projects worth checking out.
Yeah, we mentioned them briefly earlier, but let's dive a little deeper. What makes them stand out?
Drift is a decentralized perpetual exchange built on Solana, and they're making big waves. It lets you trade futures contracts without actually owning the underlying asset. Think of it as betting on the future price of something like Bitcoin or ETH.
So that's how people get those crazy returns and losses we hear about. And what about Radium? What's their story?
Radium is a decentralized exchange, also on Solana. People often compare them to Jupiter, another popular DEX, but the argument is that Radium is significantly undervalued.
Interesting. So it's like finding a hidden gem that the market hasn't fully recognized yet.
Potentially. They offer similar features to Jupiter, but have a much lower market cap, which some investors see as a great opportunity for growth.
I love the idea of finding those hidden gems. Okay, so beyond these specific projects, what are some broader strategies that people can use to navigate this market?
One approach is to really focus on fundamentals. Look for tokens that have a strong use case and are solving real-world problems.
Ah, so it's not just about chasing hype, but actually looking for real utility and value.
Exactly. Tokens like that tend to be less volatile and hold their value better over time.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's be real, there are thousands of crypto projects out there. It's overwhelming. How do you even begin to filter through them all?
That's where research comes in. Look for projects with a solid team, a transparent roadmap, and a passionate community. Don't be afraid to dig into those white papers and really try to understand how the token works within the project.
It's like being a crypto detective. I love it. But research takes time, and this market moves so fast. How do you balance those two things?
It's a constant learning curve, for sure. I'd say start by focusing on a few key areas that really pique your interest. Maybe it's DeFi, NFTs, or a specific blockchain like Solana. You don't have to try to understand everything at once.
That's a good point. Focus on what excites you and go deep. So let's say you found some projects that seem promising. What's the next step?
Before you invest a single dollar, take a moment to really assess your risk tolerance. How much are you willing to lose? What are your financial goals?
This is such a crucial point. It's easy to get caught up in all the excitement and forget that crypto is still a high-risk investment.
You're absolutely right. The market could be incredibly volatile. You need to be prepared for both the ups and the downs, mentally and financially.
So once you've figured out your risk tolerance, what's next? How do you actually go about investing?
There are a few different approaches you can take. Dollar cost averaging is a popular one.
Okay, I've heard of that, but I'm not entirely sure how it works. Can you explain it?
Sure. Instead of trying to time the market perfectly, you invest a fixed amount of money at regular intervals no matter what the price is doing.
So even if the market is crashing, you just keep investing the same amount. Doesn't that seem counterintuitive?
It might feel that way at first, but it actually helps to mitigate risk. When the price is low, you're buying more tokens, and when the price is high, you're buying fewer. Over time, this averages out your purchase price. It's a more disciplined approach.
Ah, I see. It takes the emotion out of it. Are there any other strategies you recommend?
Well, stop-loss orders can be really helpful, especially in a volatile market like crypto. It basically sets an automatic sell order if the price drops below a certain point.
So it's like a safety net to protect your investment.
Exactly. It helps to manage your risk. Now, another thing we talked about was diversifying across different exchanges.
Right. Why is that so important?
Not all exchanges are created equal. They have different fees, security protocols, and they might not all offer the same trading pairs.
Ah, so it's not just about diversifying your investments, but also the platforms where you hold them.
Precisely. If something happens to one exchange, you don't want to be left holding the bag, so to speak.
Okay, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about it that way before. This is all super helpful. I'm feeling much more confident already. But there's one area where I still feel a bit intimidated. Technical analysis.
I understand. Charts and indicators can seem daunting, but they're definitely worth exploring. It's all about studying past price movements to try and identify patterns that could give us clues about future price action.
So it's like trying to predict the future by looking at the past. That sounds a little like reading tea leaves, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I can see why you'd say that. It's not an exact science, that's for sure. But there are certain tools, like moving averages, Bollinger Bands, and MECD, that traders use to try and identify buying and selling opportunities.
Okay, I've heard of those, but I'm still a bit fuzzy on how they actually work.
Well, put simply, moving averages help to smooth out price data and identify trends. Bollinger Bands show us how volatile the price is, and MECD helps us to identify shifts in momentum.
Okay, I'm starting to get it. It still sounds a bit complicated, but maybe I can start to learn some of the basics.
Absolutely. There are tons of resources available online, courses, videos, communities. It's all about taking it one step at a time.
Right. And speaking of communities, that's something we haven't really touched on yet, but it seems like such a vital part of the crypto world.
Absolutely. The crypto community is incredible. It's full of passionate, innovative people who are constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
It's like a global network of people who believe in the power of decentralization and the potential of blockchain to really change the world.
It's truly inspiring. And the community is a valuable resource for information, support, and even investment opportunities.
So how can our listeners tap into that community? Where's a good place to start?
Well, social media platforms like Twitter are a great place to connect with people in this space. Telegram is another popular platform where crypto communities gather to chat and share ideas.
And there are also forums and online communities specifically focused on certain areas of crypto, right? Like
Yes.
DeFi, NFTs, or certain blockchains.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the value of real-world events like meetups and conferences. They're a fantastic way to connect with people face-to-face and really get a feel for the energy of the space.
It's like attending a crypto festival.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from market trends to trading strategies, but there's one crucial aspect of crypto that we haven't discussed yet, and it's something that every investor, no matter how experienced they are, needs to prioritize: security.
You're absolutely right. We can't talk about crypto without talking about security. It's paramount.
I'm ready to dive into that.
Yeah.
Let's do it. All right, let's talk crypto security. It's one of those things that's easy to overlook when you're caught up in the excitement of everything, but it's so important.
Yeah, it's easy to get laser focused on finding those hot tokens or figuring out the perfect trading strategy, but protecting what you've earned is crucial.
Absolutely. So let's break it down. What are the biggest security threats that crypto investors face? Where do we even start?
Well, phishing scams are a huge problem. Phishing, like those emails that try to trick you into giving away your passwords?
Exactly. Except with crypto, they're after your private keys or your login info for exchanges and stuff, and they can be really convincing.
Oh, I bet. Like, how do they even work?
They might send you an email or a message that looks like it's from a legitimate company or person, like your bank or a crypto exchange you use.
And then what?
They'll include a link that takes you to a fake website that looks almost identical to the real thing. Or they might ask you to reply with some sensitive information.
So it's all about tricking you into giving them your info without realizing it's a scam.
Exactly. And people fall for it all the time, unfortunately.
That's scary. So how can we protect ourselves?
The biggest thing is to be skeptical. Don't ever click on links in emails or messages unless you're 100% sure they're legitimate.
Okay, good advice. So, like, always double check the sender's address, hover over the link to see where it's really going.
Exactly. And if something seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Right, like, congratulations, you've won 1,000,000 Bitcoin. Just click here.
Yeah, exactly. If someone's promising you guaranteed returns or free crypto, that's a huge red flag.
Makes sense. So, always be cautious, double check everything, and if you're ever unsure, it's best to reach out to the company or person directly through their official website or channels, right?
Absolutely. Don't rely on any contact info that's provided in the suspicious message itself.
Great advice. So, phishing aside, what other threats should we be aware of?
Malware is another big one. Those are malicious programs that can infect your computer or phone, often without you even realizing it.
Oh, wow. Like a virus.
Kinda, yeah. They can steal your private keys, your passwords, all sorts of sensitive data.
Yuck. That's awful. So how does that even happen?
It can happen in a few ways. You might accidentally click on a bad link or download a compromised file. Even downloading a fake app from an unofficial app store can do it.
Okay. So how do we protect ourselves?
Always, always use a reputable antivirus program and make sure you keep all your software updated.
Ugh. Those update reminders can be so annoying. But I guess they're important.
They are. Those updates often include security patches that protect against known vulnerabilities.
Mm,
And be super careful about what you download. Stick to official app stores and websites whenever possible.
got it. Okay, so phishing, malware, anything else we should be worried about?
Exchange hacks are a risk, although exchanges have gotten a lot better with security over the years.
Yeah, but we've still seen some pretty big hacks in the news, like millions of dollars worth of crypto stolen.
It's true. There's no way to completely eliminate the risk, but you can definitely minimize it. Choosing a reputable exchange with a strong track record of security is key.
So do your research. Don't just go with the first exchange that pops up when you Google it.
Exactly. Look for things like two-factor authentication and cold storage options.
Okay, can you break those down for us? What exactly are those?
Two-factor authentication adds an extra layer of security to your account. So in addition to your password, you also need to enter a code that's sent to your phone or email every time you log in.
Ah, right. It's like an extra security check to make sure it's really you. And what about cold storage?
Cold storage means keeping your crypto offline, completely disconnected from the internet. It could be on a hardware wallet, a paper wallet, even a USB drive that you keep locked away somewhere safe.
So it's like keeping your crypto in a vault.
Exactly. It's considered the most secure way to store your crypto because hackers can't get to it if it's not online.
But it's probably also the least convenient, right? If you want to trade or do anything with your crypto, you have to bring it back online.
You got it. It's a trade-off between security and convenience. You have to decide what level of risk you're comfortable with.
Totally. Okay, this is all making a lot of sense. Now, before we wrap up this security deep dive, there's one last concept I wanted to touch on that really fascinates me. Self-custody.
Ah, yes. Being your own bank.
Exactly. It's a powerful idea, but also a bit daunting, to be honest. It means you're in complete control of your assets, but you're also completely responsible for their safety.
Couldn't agree more. And the key to self-custody is protecting those private keys.
Hmm.
So like the master passwords to your crypto wallet. Lose them, and your crypto is gone forever.
Whoa, no pressure, right?
Yeah.
So what are your top tips for keeping those private keys safe?
First and foremost, never share them with anyone. No exceptions.
Okay, noted. Don't share your private keys. What else?
Don't store them on your computer or your phone. Those devices are vulnerable to hacks.
So where should we store them?
Offline is best. A hardware wallet is a popular option. It's basically a little device that stores your keys offline and signs transactions securely. Or you could go old school with a paper wallet, literally printing your keys on a piece of paper and keeping it somewhere safe.
Wow, okay. And I've even heard of people engraving their keys onto metal plates.
It's true. Some people take crypto security very seriously.
I'm starting to realize that security is an ongoing process, not just a one-time thing. It's about constantly learning, adapting, and staying vigilant.
Well said. It's a journey, not a destination.
This whole deep dive has been a fantastic journey, honestly. We've covered so much, from market trends to trading strategies, security tips, and even the power of community.
It has been a great conversation.
It really has. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too.
Hmm.
And hopefully our listener feels the same way.
I hope so too. I think the biggest takeaway here is that knowledge is power in the crypto space.
Absolutely. The more you learn, the better equipped you'll be to navigate this crazy, exciting market.
So true. Do your research, understand the risks, and never stop learning. And remember, this is a community effort. Connect with others, share ideas, and learn from each other. We're all in this together.
Couldn't have said it better myself. The future of crypto is bright, and it's being built by people just like you, our listener.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive. I hope you enjoyed it. And remember, stay curious, stay informed, and stay safe out there in the crypto world.